Hello students, today we are going to take up Evans Tries an O-Level by Colin Dexter. Before we proceed, I want to know one thing. Have you read this lesson? Well, if you haven't, then I must say you are missing out on something that is extremely entertaining. In fact, I would say it's action-packed like a Bollywood movie. So please read the chapter and then watch this video because this is undoubtedly the most interesting lesson in your class 12 syllabus. So a little bit about the author, Colin Dexter. He was an English crime writer known for his Inspector Morse novels. Last Bus to Woodstock was published in 1975. He was the one who introduced the character of Inspector Morse, and he has been a recipient of several Crime Writers Association awards. In fact, in 1996, he got an award for the same story, Evans Tries an O-Level. So the main characters in the story are James Roderick Evans, he's a prisoner, Secretary of the Examination Board, Governor of HM Prison Oxford, Mr. Jackson and Mr. Stephens, they are both prison officers. Reverend Stuart McCleary is an invigilator. Mr. Carter is a detective superintendent and Mr. Bell is a detective chief inspector. So the theme is majorly about the clash of wit and idiocy, I would say. So wit of the criminal, that is Evans, and stupidity of the law enforcing authorities. And as you have read the chapter, you would know that how Evans succeeds in hoodwinking the jail authorities and he manages to escape from the prison the fourth time. Let's look at story at a glance. Evans, the prisoner, is keen to acquire academic qualification, that is, he wants to appear for the O-level test in German. The governor accepted the request and he organizes to hold the examination with all necessary precautions in his jail. The exam is set up in Evans's cell with an invigilator from St. Mary's Mag, Mr. Stuart McCleary. He is a parson. The exam goes on smoothly. There are numerous phone calls. There is a correction slip. And those who have read the story would know how important these phone calls were in the story and even the correction slip. So Stephen is asked on one of these calls to escort the invigilator and command. He escorts the invigilator to the main gate. When he comes back, he checks Evans's cell and to his utter surprise, he finds that injured McCleary is sitting in Evans's chair. Now that takes him by surprise completely and there is mayhem in the jail and everyone comes to know that Evans has escaped. But very soon, the governor actually finds out that real McCleary was gagged and bound in his room and he had not even ventured out of his room. Therefore, the picture is clear that the person who came as McCleary was someone who was helping Evans in his escape. The governor also comes to know that injured McCleary has not reached the hospital. So now everything becomes clear that it was not McCleary who was left behind in the jail, but it was Evans impersonating as McCleary who was sitting in the cell and everyone mistook him to be McCleary. So the governor follows various clues and he reaches Golden Lion. That's the hotel where Evans has taken refuge. And he goes and he gets hold of Evans. From here, he hands him over to the police. But unfortunately for the governor, these police officials are also Evans's friends. So Evans escapes for the fourth time. Now, the slides that we are now going to look at will talk to you about the highlights of the story. Now, these are important as your 2 markers and your 5 markers also. So please be very careful when you are making a note of these things. So let's look at the precautions that were taken by the governor. 2 prison officers, Jackson and Stephen, were called for special duty. They were there to ensure that the cell was searched for any sharp objects. And you all know that his nail file, his razor, his blade, everything was confiscated by Stephens and Jackson. Nothing sharp was left with Evans in his cell. A microphone was also fixed in his cell. A parson from St. Mary Mag's was called to invigilate, that is McCleary. The invigilator was checked thoroughly. Everything was checked. His briefcase was checked for any weapon. And for this, in fact, they got a special call from the governor to check it again. So everything was checked completely. McCleary had a small semi-inflated rubber ring, and he explained that this ring he used to carry because he suffered from a problem of hemorrhoids and he needed to sit for a long period of time. So remember, the precautions taken were 2 prison officers, the cell was searched, a microphone was fixed, a parson was called from St. Mary Mag's, the invigilator was checked thoroughly, and the rubber ring, which was a slightly point of contention, was also explained by McCleary. Now, what all was there in McCleary's brown suitcase? There was a sealed question paper envelope, a yellow invigilation form, special authentication card, paper knife, which was confiscated, by the way, Bible, current copy of the Church Times, and a rubber ring. So this is important as once it was asked as a 2 marker in the board paper. Now, the exam commences. The invigilator gave the index number 313 and center number 271. So if you read the story, you would know what is the significance of this code. Remember, this is the address of the hotel where Evans was supposed to go. So McCleary was actually giving the address of the hotel 313/271, and in fact this is how the governor also reaches the same hotel. Stephen inside the cell, but Evans objects to it and he says that I cannot write the exam when someone is breathing down my neck. Therefore, Stephens was asked to step out. Why? Because the governor at that point of time felt that he was getting paranoid unnecessarily and he was overreacting, and it's okay if Stephen is outside the cell. But Stephen keenly keeps a watch through the peephole. He's very vigilant. Every minute he peeps from the peephole. McCleary is always reading a newspaper. So whenever Stephen looks inside, he sees that McCleary is reading the newspaper with his finger hooked on the back of his collar. Now, why was the finger there? Yes, because McCleary had 2 collars and they were slipping down. Hence, McCleary was sitting like that throughout the exam. And Evans was sitting with his pen between his teeth, and there was a blanket that was draped around him. Now, we all know what was the significance of the blanket also, and why Evans was sitting with his pen between his teeth, because his hands were under the blanket and he was taking on the clothes of a parson from McCleary, and under the blanket he was wearing all that stuff. Now, this is again an important question that had come once. What is the importance of the phone calls? So essentially, there were three phone calls. One was at 9:40 a.m. when the governor got a call from the examination board where the person who was speaking from the board said that there was an error in the question paper, and he reads out the correction slip. So if you remember, the name of the hotel came from here, Golden Lion. So then followed by that, governor got another call which was from the magistrate's office, and this was as a request for a prison van and two prison officials for a remand case. Now this is the same van, children. This was used towards the end of the chapter to escort Evans from the hotel Golden Lion. Then the third call that comes is the one that Stephens attends. In fact, Stephens is called that governor wants to have a word with you, and it is here that Stephen gets the instruction from the other side. Whoever is speaking, he thinks it's the governor, and he gets the instruction that Stephens should escort McCleary to the gate. Now, what is the significance of this call? The call is important because this call gave Evans those crucial 3-4 minutes for the last makeup, to put on that blood from the rubber ring, and for the last makeup so that he looks exactly like injured McCleary. So you must know the importance of the first call is the correction slip gives the name of the hotel. The second call asks for the prison van which was used towards the end of the story, and third phone call gives those 3-4 crucial minutes to Evans to have his final makeup done. Well, this is an important slide because it tells you about the timeline of the story, and it will help you if you have to construct an answer. Therefore, you should know the timing when what happened. So at 9:15 a.m., this was the time when the examination was scheduled to start, but it actually starts at 9:18 a.m. This is the time when McCleary gives the instructions and gives away the address of the Golden Lion. That is index number 313 and center number 271 is actually the address. 9:40 is the call when examination board calls the governor regarding a correction in the paper, but actually they also wanted to know the exact time when the exam started. 10:50 a.m. is the time when Evans makes the request to drape a blanket because it was chilly in his cell. 11:22 a.m. there is a call for Stephen with specific instructions, and the person on the other side says that he is calling to tell him that Stephen had to escort McCleary to the gate after the exam finished, and we know how important this call was. And 11:25 a.m. the final exchanges, and it tells the governor that the exam is over. The truth unfurls. So this is important, and it says it had not been Evans impersonating McCleary who had walked out. It had been Evans impersonating McCleary who had stayed in. So the truth unfurls on the governor. And they also found that McCleary was securely bound and gagged in his study in Broad Street since 8:15 in the morning. So he had not even ventured out of his house. The real McCleary. The good for a giggle governor nabs Evans. This is a very important term that is used, phrase that is used for the governor. And these points are going to help you, in fact, to build an answer which could be for 5 marks. So pay attention. Governor traced the Hotel Golden Lion by the index number and center number referred to Chipping Norton in Ordnance Survey map. So this is where it helps the governor also, the code. Evans discloses all the facts and how he was helped by his friends in the plan, starting from the German teacher. So the good for a giggle governor never ever tried to find out about the German teacher. So the German teacher also was involved. So it was a long drawn plan, children. He must have started the planning months back. Evans is arrested and handed over to the police by the governor. Prison officials were none other than his friends who had asked for the prison van. The governor is duped again. Evans escapes the 4th time. So you understand why the phrase is used, good for a giggle governor? Because he was so naive, he was so gullible that he just took Evans at his face value when he caught him at the hotel. He never ever bothered to find out who is actually taking him away. Who is the person who has come with the prison van? And that's why this helps Evans in escaping the 4th time. The correction slip, again, this is very important as a 2-marker. The correction slip killed 2 birds with a single stone. It gave away the name of the Hotel Golden Lion for Evans and the exact time the exam started for the 3rd call to be made. This, in fact, came last year in the board paper. What were the mistakes committed? So, yes, these were the mistakes committed by the governor. The validity of the German tutor was not checked. Letting Evans see the name of the invigilator on the form. He knew who's the invigilator. And therefore, his accomplice could actually help him in this way. Means he came dressed as McCleary and carried everything double. Jackson did not insist that Evans take his hat off. Remember the hat Jackson said about the bobble hat? And what did Evans say? It's my lucky charm. Now Jackson also did not insist. Had he insisted, he would have come to know that Evans had actually cropped his hair to look like the invigilator. Governor allowed Stephens to keep a watch on Evans from outside the cell. So this gave him an opportunity to do whatever he wanted to inside the cell. The things taken into the cell were not examined carefully. Example, the rubber ring containing blood. McCleary was allowed to carry that. He shouldn't be, because that was the major thing, the major tool, I would say, that helped Evans. Taking McCleary at his word and not having him attended to first, cleaning the blood would have revealed. So McCleary said, I know where he has gone. And they all believed him and escorted him. And who was that? Actually, it was not injured McCleary. It was Evans impersonating as McCleary. The governor tried to catch Evans single-handed. In the hotel, he called neither the police nor the jail officials, but asked the receptionist to call a prison van. Don't forget, the receptionist had winked when Evans came. So we get to know that probably the receptionist was also a part of the plan. Letting Evans escape a 2nd time in a van without verifying the guards. No verification was done. So now let's look at some multiple choice questions. Evans had been put up in governor's jail premises in Oxford because of? Most of you will say answer B, but read your lesson carefully because it's actually C. The recent wave of unrest in the maximum security establishment up north was the reason why he was in the governor's jail premises. When Evans says, I may surprise everybody, the answer that is correct is option D. Now for some short answer questions, this is from sample question paper 2021. It was important that the recaptured Evans keep up the facade till the very last moment of his interaction with the governor. Support this statement with a rationale. So he has to maintain that facade that yes, the governor has an upper hand. Why? Because he was already planning his escape now again. And he knew that the police officer and the police driver are his accomplices, and he could not risk that the governor comes to know about this. Therefore, he had to keep that facade that yes, the governor has actually untangled the mystery, governor has solved the case, and the governor is going to catch him. So this is a 2 marker. Remember to incorporate all these points. One more 2 marker. Who was Carter? What did the governor ask him to do? So a very insignificant character in the story, yet you can get a 2 marker from here. Carter was the detective superintendent. The governor entrusted him with the responsibility of injured McCleary, and McCleary was the only one who seemed to be knowing where Evans could be. So Carter was given that responsibility that he should go with McCleary to find out where Evans was. Okay, so remember, such insignificant characters can be used for 2 markers. Read the chapter carefully. Long answers I'm not discussing in this video because I've already discussed questions like precautions taken, mistakes committed, good for a giggle governor. These are all very good material for a 5 marker or a long answer. So good luck, children. Like and share with your friends. If you think it is helpful, you can subscribe for my videos of all class 12 chapters. Visit my channel, Ruchi Sehgal English. Thank you. God bless.